for what we need. And I am an advocate that we need hard skills. We need to look at the policies that will train the youth on hard skills.
We need to challenge ourselves. The colonies left so many years ago. We cannot sit here and blame our colonial heritage. We have failed our continent, and each of us needs to go and think about what is right for their countries, what is right for the sub-nationalities in their countries, and begin to challenge these notions of a national curriculum and a nationalized, standardized test, because these often do not work.
Giving it back to GIZ for supporting this initiative. Please stand up on your feet and give a rousing appreciation to GIZ. Please do that.
So thank you so much, and also to the entire management. Pass our appreciation.
Document that is required.
So in the case
yes,
where
but where you are non-compliant,
yes.
where you are, I've said where you are compliant,
yes.
that process must be completed within the service level, the time agreed on by that department.
We're going to hear from your representative, who will also give us a few remarks in less than 5 minutes. And then, once he's done, we'll see your performance. So get ready, embrace yourself, whether you're going to start from there and come through. Let us know how much space you want.
One Young Africa, we say yes to one Africa market. Thank you.
His word, he says, and I quote, problem is what? Is inevitable. However, we must be the solution, the inevitable solution to the inevitable problem.
Diego Twahirwa, you can even call him Chiri Man, the man who is doing chiri, who is exporting chiri. Looking at CFTA, how can value chain of chiri accommodate more youth? When we had a bilateral discussion, your problem is supply. The market you have, but the problem is supply. These people that are here, young entrepreneurs, how can we involve them to help you in supply chain?
The big question or the issue that we have is getting the sustainable and reliable market. And we are lucky to have a big demand and sustainable market for them. So with the CFTA, that means like we are open. It's not only, I'm not going only to consider Rwanda as a source of the production or supply. It's open for everyone. Like I was lucky to get a big demand to supply chili to China. And when I signed the contract, everyone said like, how are you going to be able to meet this commitment you're signing? But for me, because I was exposed enough and I know how the order for India or China, it was nothing. And the way they consider Africa as one country, is that I was looking at that framework where I said now, this order is not only for me, it's not only for Rwanda, it's for Africa. And now with this CFTA program, it's going to ease the transaction and also even the move of people, like for the skills sharing. And for me, I had started this on my own, where I was expanding to DRC, to Zimbabwe. Now, with this framework, it's going to accommodate more young youth across Africa.
We need to upload our products there. I need to sit in Ghana and upload this there. And somebody needs to sit in Gabon and be able to buy from us, okay? So your assignment, number one, to talk to Jumia and find out why can't African companies post there. Number two, we've mentioned that everybody is doing business on Instagram, on Facebook. Instagram has something called Instagram Shop, where anybody can sell on, but it's not available in Africa. Why? Why can't African businesses use Instagram Shop? So you guys here, write to Instagram and make sure that by the time we are coming for the next summit, all businesses are able to upload on Instagram Shop, and we are able to make payments through Instagram Shop and buy through Instagram Shop. Number three, do you know Elsa Majimbo? Yes, she was making funny videos on Instagram. Now she's modeling for all the big brands, okay? There is a model in the village who does not have access to internet, and we've talked about it right now, who if they had that access to internet, first of all, they could have skills. We are talking about skills here, skills here, skills here. All you need to do is go on YouTube, and after is not going to wait for us. It's just a document. It's just a document. So we have to make it come alive. And so you have 4 assignments. After is not going to wait for us. It's just a document. It's just a document. So we have to make it come alive. And so you have 4 assignments. Please go and represent us.
We stand at a better position to benefit, to support the benefits and the opportunities of the FCFTA that we are talking about. So now we want to reiterate what the minister from Rwanda mentioned, that it is true. His Excellency Wamkele Mene, the Secretary General of the FCFTA, his priority is to ensure that the young people are driving this FCFTA. So we are putting quite a number of strategies at the FCFTA to ensure that the youth are involved not only in the negotiations, but as well as in the implementation.
As I mentioned, CFTA is a game changer, but to be a game changer, they need to streamline the trade information. That's very critical. And I know in their pillar it has that, but it needs to trickle down to SMEs, the information needs to trickle down to the youth, to the women. Africa, Africa.
Times are changing, and Africa is now the world's youngest continent.
Africa is the youngest continent. Majority of the population are under 35.
What are we doing about the youth? Because the youth constitute one of the important pillars that we're focused on.
Let me say the youth are not only the future of this region, but I believe we are the present and future.
If we define what do we mean by young people, there is this external perception that young people are a homogeneous group. This is not the reality. We have also young people in vulnerable settings. We have young people with disabilities, and we have foremost young women.
But again, a population that is ill-skilled and unemployed can be a demographic curse. So this is the challenge, but the opportunity is in us trying to convert this demographic dividend into opportunities.
But also young people as being the largest population, they are our biggest asset.
Because the richness of nations is not in stones, but in its people.
It's never been more important to develop our youth into confident and transformational leaders that can navigate Africa through the incoming economic and political climates. Africa's youth are faced with growing concerns about how to thrive in their purpose, and that's where You Lead Africa comes in. Founded in 2017, we are Africa's flagship youth leadership program, following the youth's greater demands and expanding our work from the East African community to the continent.
There are many challenges facing young people on the African continent. The biggest one of them is that each and every one of the young people in Africa have the desire to become a leader. I think investments should be made more to build the capacity of young people in Africa to become effective leaders.
Under globalization, the world is small. The whole world outside there has skills. We need to equip our youth with the requisite skills so that they participate properly, even in global interaction.
And this means that we need to do more to create economic opportunities and work opportunities for young people.
ULEAD for me represents that opportunity for young people to first of all think about their problems collectively and then develop, if it be disruptive strategies to take action on addressing those challenges.
The summit is not just a 3 days or 4 or 5 days event for young people to come and chit-chat and go home. Whatever they are saying is influencing our one-year work, what we call the post-summit agenda.
With now more than 10,000 alumni and over 30 partners, and active partner-led work in all 5 major African regions, a One Young Africa is our vision.
We have a great vision. We're envisioning 150 delegates in person, 20,000 virtually, but this is not to me the only success indicator. The success indicator is ensuring that all these 20,000 young people virtually provide inputs and meaningfully engage throughout the conversation, and all their suggestions are then incorporated into our post-summit agenda.
Look at 2017, just East Africa coming together, and now thousands of African young people.
ULEAD Summit 2021. We are proud to announce that we are going continental, coming together as a One Young Africa.
And we want actually to break the borders. The CFTA is here. We want African young people to come together under ULEAD Summit platform, trade together across the borders, innovate together across the borders, and create jobs as well as prosper together.
That's what drove us to become, One Young Africa. We have the potential and the capacity to do so.
From 8th to 12th November 2021, we are hosting Africa's largest hybrid summer ever with ULEAD Africa's patron, His Excellency Jakaya Mrisho Kikwete, former President of Tanzania as Chief Convener, and Honorable Dr. Peter Matuki, the EAC Secretary General as co-convener. The theme is The Future of Africa, creating jobs, feeding and housing the world's youngest continent.
I call upon policymakers, development partners, the private sector, media, civil society, and other stakeholders to be part of and support the East African community in convening this year's ULEAD Summit.
It will attract participation from all the partner states of the EAC and indeed the continent. I thank you. Asanteni sana. See you in Arusha. Tujenge vijana wetu.
Since 2017, ULEAD Summit, as popularly known, is jointly convened annually by the East African Community and MS Training Center for Development Cooperation in Arusha, Tanzania, in collaboration with a myriad of partners.
COVID-19 is both a blessing and a curse, equally.
We have seen how the COVID pandemic has hit very hard young people.
And this is why ULEAD Africa will bring together more than 15,000 people on a single platform, because travel is restricted, but more people come together through the internet, courtesy of COVID-19.
We are welcoming a virtual and physical audience from all African countries together on the same platform.
Nonetheless, COVID-19 has reduced the opportunities for young people. Young people have lost jobs, and COVID-19 pushes us beyond the boundary to innovate and create jobs that we have lost using COVID-friendly mechanisms such as online platforms, as well as increased cooperation between and among young people across the borders, especially under the CFTA, which regards that trade should happen beyond borders of any country.
The 2021 summit will be delivered in the form of thematic forums. The Under 40 Political Leaders Forum, which examines current representative democracy models. The Under 40 Business Leaders Forum assesses the existing environment for doing business.
So it is important to
Good evening, everyone. Let me see if you can hear me.
Loud and clear, ma'am.
Oh, that's good. Good evening again to everyone who is already here. Sorry, we took a few minutes to just get people who are joining.
Yes, I can hear you.
Very good. Thank you very
Benin.
much. Okay, yes.
Yes,
thank
good
you.
evening.
Good evening. I can see Dr. Joseph has already joined. Welcome everyone, welcome all our speakers who are already here. I have seen already Ambassador Fred Ngoga is already here. I see, as I said, Dr. Joseph Nkurunziza is here. I have seen Anne Maua is here, and I have seen Haggai Kambere is here. I think we are just missing one speaker, but we can start. She will be joining our discussion. Today we have a very special topic, I think, which is on all our hearts, especially with what is going on for the people who are in this region in East Africa, who have been following what is going on in Eastern DRC, but is not, I think, a topic which is just dear to East African, but is a topic which really, I think I was watching Netflix few days ago, and I have been, there is one of the series where they are talking about how the whole idea of white supremacists is increasing, and how they use social media and other platforms to reach out to many young people and many recruit a lot of people. So it's not something which is just African, what we are going to talk about today, but is something which is increasingly becoming a world topic, I can say like that. So before I start the discussion, I would really want to use very few minutes to just share with everyone who is here, just to confirm if you can see my screen. Yes, I will just want to read a bit. One is a quote from the Antonio Gutierrez, the Secretary General of the United Nations. He says, what he says about hate speech. He says, hate speech incites violence, undermines diversity and social cohesion, and threatens the common values and principles that bind us together. It promotes racism, xenophobia, and misogyny. It dehumanizes individuals and communities, and it has a serious impact on our effort to promote peace and security, human rights, and sustainable development. Just to be on the same page, I will just bring just a small definition, and I'm sure now also the speakers will be also talking about this in their remarks. Hate speech, according to the United Nations Strategy and Plan of Action on Hate Speech, is any kind of communication in speech, writing, or behavior that attacks or uses pejorative or discriminatory language with reference to a person or a group on the basis of who they are. In other words, based on their religion, ethnicity, nationality, race, color, descent, gender, and other identity factor. I will just close this and go back to our discussion. It's this Unplugged the City, that's why it's called Unplugged the City. We try to be a bit open, not too serious, even when we talk about serious subject. So I will start with our speakers to give you just 1 minute each to tell us who you are, so your name and what you do, and what is your favorite food, what is your favorite song or a typical music, so a type of a music. So I know we have big people here, but we would be happy to know more about you on those sides. So Ambassador Fred, you can go first.
Thank you so much, Iget, for having me, and I'm really excited to be part of this conversation. First, about my favorite, what I do, I think is what is important. I work for the African Union Commission. I work particularly in the office of the Commissioner in charge of Political Affairs and Peace and Security, where I am responsible for partnerships. I'm also responsible for regional security mechanism and the AU border program. So that's what I do. Now, in terms of the food that I like, I don't think there's any single African who doesn't like plantains. I am a big fan of plantains. And for those from the East African region, when you add plantains and disombe or cassava, that is a good mix. And anyone who would not like that, I will find him suspicious. In terms of the music, there's quite a lot of music, but one of my favorite, and for those, and I'll translate, for those who are from the Great Lakes region, there's an old song that we used to listen when I was a young kid. It was called Umubano Mubano, and it was from Rwanda, I think. Mubano Mubano, which is, I don't know how to translate Mubano Mubano, like people living well together or something along those lines. It was one of my favorites. And of course, since tomorrow is Burundi Independence Day, Ewe Burundi by Chancho Amis. For those who know a little bit about our country, that's one that I like. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I was waiting for Isombe, so you didn't disappoint. Thank you very much. Dr. Joseph, to you.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Kazineza. It's always a pleasure to talk to young people. It gives me that satisfaction, and to show that at least we are empowering those that will replace us when our joints are no longer active. Yeah, so as everyone knows, I work at Nevegain Rwanda as an executive director. Nevegain Rwanda is a peace building and social justice organization, and we normally focus almost 50% of our interventions to young people. So I would say that my delicious meal is ubugari n'isombe. Ubugari, it's but I mean ubugari made out of cassava flour, not maize flour. Yeah, and then isombe is the sauce made out of the flour from cassava leaves. At times when it is mixed with fish, then it is delicious. Yeah, so.
Any favorite song or type of music?
Yeah, my favorite song is, I would say, I don't know if you are famous with Man Marite. He's a Rwandan musician, and I think last year he came up with a song called Mahoro. So I had the chance to attend when we are commemorating I think the last year's International Human Rights Day, when he sang it, and I developed the interest, and I even have it as my ringing tone on the phone.
Wow, that's nice. So again, I am not disappointed. All my favorite foods are coming out. Thank you very much, Dr. Joseph. I will go to Anne. Anne, to you, tell us who you are, your favorite meal, and music.
Hi, Kaze. How are you?
I am good.
Good to see you, Ambassador Fred. After a long time, comment allez-vous, tout le monde? My name is Anne-Rose Maua, and I work for Zalendo Africa Initiative based here in Mombasa. And I also chair the East African Youth Peace and Security Network. My favorite meal, Kaze. I have many because I'm too foodie, so I don't know.
Just one?
Yeah, so I think I can pick my traditional meal called mataha and meat stew. It's cooked by the central people of Kenya. And my favorite music, oh my God, I'm very Pan-African to the bone. I think I'm currently listening a lot to Maria PM by Fally Ipupa. Yeah.
I am sure the Congolese who are here are very happy to hear that. Thank you very much. And we can go to Haggai. Tell us a bit more about who you are and your favorite music and your favorite song. And Haggai is from Congo, DRC. You can also speak if you want in French.
Thank you, Iget. By presentation, thank you for all panelists who are in these meetings. I will start first, as it's a step of presentation. I will present myself in English, and maybe next I will be trying to explain myself in French. My name is Kambere Wasinge Haggai. I'm from DRC Congo. I'm an entrepreneur and also the co-founder of Youth Forward Congo, a youth organization that is working to promote entrepreneurship, peace building, volunteering, and also environment protection. Another thing is that I'm also the founder of Kivu Peace Building Institute. That is a platform of learning on peace building principles. This is so about food. I do like. I have realized that most of people are like me. They appreciate cassava leaves and sombes. They were saying it's also my favorite food. So about song. I like gospel music, and the main song I do appreciate is Jire from Maverick City. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Haggai. I see now we are in the same family. I can invite and not have a problem to all panelists. Thank you again very much. Just to ask my colleagues here, if Diana join, just give me, just to send me a message. I think we can just dive in the discussion. I just want to say, normally we do the Unplugged series in English, but we wanted to accommodate also French speakers who are here. So if you want to say something, you can say it in French. We will see if we can have people who will be helping us to put what you have said in English, at least in summary. So you can also make your presentation, tell us where you come from in the chat. I just also want to say that we are live on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. So if you want, you can also share with your friends and the families and the network about this discussion. So I will just open this conversation with Ambassador Fred. First of all, I always tell you that you are still young. When you say when I was still young, I laugh. I laugh. You are not that old, you are still near our age bracket. So, but I know you have a lot of experience, especially with your position. You travel a lot, you listen, you meet a lot of people, and now with also the new position of partnership, I think you will even meet more. The topic we are talking about today about hate speech, is it just something we are feeling as, or it's something you also think is true, it's there? How do you feel about it? Is it something we should start worrying, or it's just fear without really any basics? But tell us just really in general, how regarding the region, but also the continent.
Yes, first of all, thank you so much for inviting me. The moment I saw your invitation, I said that I had to make time for this topic. And the reason why I had to make time for this topic is because we are seeing an uptick in hate speech and messages online and offline, particularly in our region, but also on the continent, but globally. But since we're talking about our region, I think that it is important to highlight that in the last couple of months or so, we have seen the normalization of intolerance, or rather the normalization of what is unacceptable, being spread online. And unfortunately for us, the people who are spreading it are young people. There is this notion that young people are they're the agents of change, and that they are the ones who are going to be taking us to the mountaintop. But unfortunately for us, what we're seeing is that the young people are also driving these hate messages. The other thing that I would like to say that is concerning is the other people who actually spread hate messages. I don't know if you've seen, many of them invoke God or God willing, or I don't know what. So they're religious people as well. Again, the same people who are supposed to be looking for virtue, but are driving vice. So this is something that we're seeing across the board. And in our region, it's really high these days with the situation, particularly in Eastern Congo. But if you go and dig deep, each one of our countries has actually some sort of hate messages that goes around, whether it's based on ethnic groups that are in that country, clans, tribes, you name it. But for me, I think that the problem is that there is no accountability for none of that. And so here, my message, I have a few messages that I want to deliver to the youth today here. Number one is that don't get mad, organize. Young people have power to change systems, but also to push back against being used as agents. So I want you to really work hard, and because I know, number one, that you drive these messages, but also you're also the target of these messages. So, and this is an era of digital revolution and a youth-led and own revolution. So you have the power within you to fight back and push back. Second, know your algorithms. If people can create algorithms online to get someone elected or to get people to think a certain way, surely you can use those algorithms as well to fight hate speech and promote messages of tolerance. And I know that many of you are tech savvy and you can do that. And I really think that that's something that we can do. 3, accountability. I had started by saying accountability. It is important that we hold these platforms accountable to the hate messages that they're spreading. We need to support the people who are being targeted. And we need to make sure that the laws in our different countries, that they punish people who spread these messages. The other day, I saw something so horrendous that I cannot even describe it. Someone posting an image with a body part of someone. That person should be in jail. So what are the laws of our country saying vis-a-vis hate messages? Do we have appropriate laws? And you'll be surprised, in many of our countries, actually, there are laws against that, but they're selectively applied. And they're selectively applied when it suits often governments. But we need to make sure that actually that these laws, that they are implemented, and that no one should tolerate a call for hate against any other human being, regardless of their political views or whatever that is. No one should should get away with it scot-free. And so this is something that I think that we need to be focusing on, the laws. My 4th point, and it's to you, young people. run for office. We need people to run for office who have good values, who put the human being first. Right now, we have people who are okay in many of our elected offices, who seems to be okay with messages of hate being spread left and right, whether they attack someone's religion, someone's ethnicity, or so on and so forth. People just continue their daily lives and even joke about it. But we've seen what has happened when people dehumanize others, particularly as it pertains to the genocide that has happened in Rwanda against the Tutsis, or genocides that happen in different other parts of our countries, region, and so on and so forth. So it is important that we have young people who are in office and who push back against some of these hate messages. You know, I would like to then give the fifth one, and I'll conclude, because I know that there are others who want to say many things. I want you to build alliances. You know, in the 60s, and I like to tell this story, in the 60s, we were able to gain our independence because you had like-minded young people who got together and worked together. You had Louis Rwagasore of Burundi, you had Mwami Rudahigwa of Rwanda, you had Patrice Lumumba, you had Julius Nyerere, and so on and so forth. And these people, they got together and they worked to free themselves from the shackles of colonialism. Today, the one thing that we need to fight against is not only poverty, but it's also our backward ideology. And it pains me to see that the young people who are supposed to be the agents of change are the ones actually who are driving this. And so there is work to do for us. And let me conclude by saying that these are challenging times. And again, I started by saying, don't get mad, organize. But the real quote was, don't mourn and organize. It was by a labor songwriter in the US who called Joe Hill. Before he died, he kept telling his people, you know, don't mourn, but organize. So on that note, I thank you so much, and thank you for having me. And I really look forward to working with you in the coming days to really address this issue. One last point that I want to leave you with. I would like for all of you to go and look for the communique of the AU Peace and Security Council of the 16th of April, 2019. And the theme was prevention of the ideology of hate, genocide, and hate crimes in Africa. It has a lot of key operational paragraphs that addresses this issue. I'm going to try to share it in the box chat, and then wish you all good discussions. And Professor Joseph, it's always good to see you, my brother, sharing a platform. And I'm glad that you like Isombe just like me. Bye-bye.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you very, very much, Ambassador Fred. I just wanted to say one thing. Today, we are having this discussion because I was pushed even to organize this this discussion by Ambassador Fred. I think he went through all what is happening, and he called me. He said, among those things you guys do, why don't you have time and speak about what is going on? Or what he said, organize yourself. Don't just sit and watch. I think many of us have been listening to some Twitter spaces. We can't even say anything. We are just like, it's too much. And then we just sit and we don't take action. So, and I think it's time for everyone to start taking action and saying, there are things which need to be addressed, but how can they be addressed without bringing hate speeches and dehumanizing other people? I will just go to Dr. Joseph. Dr. Joseph, you, I think, as a Rwandan, but again, as someone who work in peace building and traveled and in many countries which have been going through a lot of this kind of things, I really would like to hear what do you think about this rise of the hate speeches? What does it tell us in this region? Are we going back? Sometimes you think like, I think that's what I felt when I started seeing this, like I started thinking, so we are going back to 25 years ago. We haven't made any progress. So what do you think? Why do we keep coming to the same thing when we would think that we have passed this stage?
Yeah, thanks a lot, Kazaneza. One, I want to appreciate the fact that you've organized this discussion, and as Ambassador Fred said, it's unfortunate to see young people being at the forefront of this hatred and sort of killings, irrespective of the fact that they are being used. But again, I think, as you said, at this particular moment, we shouldn't be seeing young people being used to hate or even kill their peers just because of who they are. But again, I would say that all this indicates an issue around leadership. So if any society, any organization, any country misses the opportunity to have proper leadership, then we are going to see this. Two, any society that has undergone war, genocide, atrocities, it requires investment in rule of law. So it's only rule of law that can be able to protect people and have and provide the opportunity to people so that they can be equal when it comes to justice. So what I can say that whoever is involved in hate speech, they think they are expressing their freedom of expression. But I can say that freedom of expression includes the right to disagree or express dislike. But of course, the way we speak about other people has moral and legal limits. So hate speech is a bias-motivated, hostile, malicious speech aimed at a person or a group of people because of their actual or perceived innate characteristics. So I think the people who are involved in hate speech, they are also misusing the freedom of expression. And that's why politicians exploit those weaknesses and end up suppressing freedom of expression because it has been misused by some myopic politicians. So you hear that people can't say this, people can't write this because of the hate speech that led to XYZ. So I can say that online hate speech is threatening social harmony and the well-being of certain group of people. Of course, I can't hide from it. I think I've been also writing about this. No one was expecting to see what is happening in the Eastern DRC. People can have disagreements, people can hate each other, but as Ambassador Fred said, I was also just watching a clip of people who are burning a body of a Congolese Tutsi. So, and you ask yourself that level of hatred, the level it has reached. But previously when it started, it was through social media, radio. Yeah, we are seeing misuse of online spaces instead of having them as constructive platforms to discuss real issues, to discuss how to empower societies. They are being misused. But again, I think the reason why we are seeing majority of youth in the Eastern DRC being involved in this hate speech, I think it is due to poverty. So the manipulation, they've exploited the vulnerability of these young people because majority of them are unemployed. So other communities are used as scapegoats. But I think the message young people should push and push to the leaders is that we need discussions, we need leaders to have honest dialogues when they meet. What do they discuss? Do they discuss genuine and honest issues that affect the society? Because the youth in this region almost comprise around 60%. So, as you asked, you are right to get worried that are we going back? We might go back because this shows systems have not been built, rule of law has not been invested in, and those who have been instigating the hate speech and the genocide ideology have not been taken, they have not been held accountable.
Yes, yes. That's actually, I think we will come back to some of the things you said. Things like how do we make, where is the line between hate speech and freedom of expression, the linkage with exploitation and poverty, the linkage with leadership. I think there is a lot you have shared, but I think we will come back, and again, really thank you for that broader answer. I will just go to Anne. Anne, can you hear me? Just, yes.
Yeah, I can hear you.
My question to you is, you work with many young people, you are part of many movements and networks. Do you think this situation of hate speech is taken seriously? You live in Kenya, we are time of election. By the way, today I was thinking about you and thinking, Anne has parents from 2 different tribes, and how does she even feel it when these things happen? And sometimes we think it's just Eastern DRC, but you can see in Kenya, we are during election, people are talking about that. I was following in Nigeria, there is election coming, and people start really coming with a lot of ideas and words. So do you really think people are taking these things seriously?
Thank you, Kaze. First of all, it's an interesting time to be a young person in Kenya and in the region. Of course, we know for us, we stopped counting months. We are actually now counting, just days to the elections. And to be honest, it's a situation that you don't want to be part of, because you don't know what may just happen. And so we are here and we are thinking what is going to happen. And just to answer your question on how it feels to be of mixed cultures or mixed races, it's a funny position to be in, because when either of them are fighting, you cannot take sides, because there's no way you're going to divide yourself. And then for me, it's even worse, because it's not just mixed tribes, but it's also where I grew up, because that forms part of my identity, which is the coastal part of Kenya. So it's quite, a dynamic. And then there is the fact that it's even goes beyond tribes to
religion, even.
to inter-countries because, of course, one of my parents or whatever is from another country and all these things and shenanigans. So it's crazy. But what I can say really is that hate speech is really taken serious. There has been a lot of effort that have been done by both state and non-state actors, including young people like myself, here in Kenya and even outside Kenya, because we also know that we have very robust policies and legal frameworks in this country, but then sometimes the problem comes in the dispensation of the law, or how we implement the law, or how we actually, how the law basically is being applied. For instance, if you look at the legal frameworks around hate speech in Kenya, first of all, in Kenya, the Constitution of Kenya 2010 is the supreme law of the land. And if you look at Article 33, Part C and D, it clearly stipulates hate speech and what you should not do, because as far as we know, these rights also comes with responsibility, and so there are limitation of rights in the fundamental freedom, which for our case is the Bill of Rights in Chapter 4. But then there is the whole commission that is mandated to actually work around hate speech, and this is the National Commission for Cohesion and Integration, NCIC. There's also an act of parliament that was put in place, which is called the NCIC Act. And last year also, we had a national plan on hate speech that was unveiled. But with all these frameworks, then you want to ask yourself, why are we still seeing situations where Kenyans are still abusing each other online? And the most painful part for me is that it is young people who are doing this. But then I can tell you, I have witnessed, I think, about 4 elections now, because I think my first election was in 2013. And each election, there is always the question of hate speech, disinformation, and misinformation. So yes, people are taking it seriously. We are putting a lot of efforts individually and both at organizational level. We are also currently working on a program, Youth Promoting Peaceful Election in Kenya. Part of the component actually tackles hate speech. But then what I can say to my fellow young people, I know during the last 2 weeks, you've been sharing a video of myself saying that social media is like a blank check. You decide what you want to put. First of all, I think it will be insane as young people of the region to demand accountability from leaders if we cannot account for our own selves. It is our personal responsibility to actually look into what we are saying to each other, because election is a process, yes, but it comes after 5 years, for instance. So after 5 years, where do you go to? Because this is somebody who you abused and you probably lived with them for the last. So I would say that hate speech is there in Kenya, but it's heightened during political times. But the other thing, even as I conclude, is also what young people can do, first of all, is to become regional citizens. You see, the way we say global citizen and all these fancy, nice things about how to be a global citizen, I think it's that time that we are now regional citizen, where I don't have to be from the DRC Congo for me to, to feel what Eastern Congo, the people of Eastern Congo are feeling. I don't have to know Jean Baptiste Simbo in person for me to actually sympathize in their country, that I can speak as a young person for the people of Bunyonyo in Uganda. I think that is what matters. And Ambassador Fred really put it clearly, that building alliances then becomes very pivotal in this role of fighting hate speech. But also the other thing is also the issue of monitoring and countering hate speech. And you can do that by actually countering with facts, because half the time things are propagated are usually not true. A lot of photoshopping. And I like the idea of, reading our own algorithms, because we then have an opportunity to even practice what you call network social listening, where we are able to track how people behave online and who is doing what. I know peace building campaigns are not as lucrative because we have also commercialized some of these things, unfortunately. And I think it's about time we spoke the truth about it. But then it's worth it to try and say we failed than to sit and say, oh, peace is not as sexy as it's supposed to be. But then we have that opportunity to do it. But then for me, Kazi, as I finish, is we have already done so much online, and I know service providers are trying. Meta Kenya is trying to do something, I think, with KikaNet, which is some organization that is working on internet rights. But then the people who are actually worse are the people who are offline. Now, we need to understand that youth are not homogeneous, and some of us speak from a point of privilege because we can access internet. right now. But there are people in other places like Tangrobe in Baringo who cannot access, like the deepest part of Mandera, even here in Mombasa, there's some place called Mwakirunge. People cannot access internet, and these are the types that will actually fight. So I think it is a personal responsibility. There was a time His Excellency President Uhuru Kenyatta spoke about security start with me and you, and people, Kenyans being Kenyans, were reacting by saying, oh, what is this president saying? But I actually, sync with what he's saying, because I feel like we need to practice that biblical philosophy of be my brother's keeper, because us who are access internet have an opportunity to talk to those who are offline by actually providing facts, Kazi. So I think we all have our role to do, and hate speech is a collective fight. We cannot win this alone. We just have to build collective solidarity across the EAC region and potentially Horn of Africa, because we know sometimes conflicts can start somewhere and escalate to other parts. Like, for instance, now the case that we had with Somalia here in Kenya. Thank you so much, Kazi. And I wish I could stay more, but you can see I'm already in the office and I really need to go home. But I've been happy to be part of this, and because it's recorded, I can quickly check it. So if there are questions, I'll be happy to send them to you. And thank you so much, Ambassador Fred, for turning up for this. And asanteni sana, bonui tulemon, good night.
Thank you very, very much, Anne. I wanted to bring this aspect of Kenya because I was like, whatever is happening, as much as we think it can be read as things, a crisis in Eastern DRC, it's something which is almost happening really everywhere. Maybe that's now it's a place where all cameras are, but in our small communities, you go and be finding this kind of thinking. And I love that you have also brought us the idea and the thinking around that hate speech is not just online. There is a lot. And I think many young people get these things even or offline. People talk to them, give them things and then they go and start banning and doing things. I want to bring in Haggai. Haggai, can you hear me?
Yes, Higet, I can.
Yes, very good. I know you are a young person. I think we had a discussion, a bilateral discussion, and I was like, Haggai, how really does it feel for you with all the connections you have in the region? You are in Congo, you have friends in Rwanda. What is happening? How does it make you feel to assist at the rise of the hate speech, and then with all following what has been going on with M23 and the rise of the hate speech? What do you think, for example, young people can do to address what is going on without falling? Because I think that's now where there are issues. We can't hide that there are problems in Eastern DRC, but we can't also fall into now hate speech and what. So how do you think we can respond to what is happening in Eastern DRC, but without falling into now also another crisis?
Yeah, thank you, Iget, for the question. Before I continue, before I answer, I would like to wish a happy Independence Day to my country, who is celebrating his Independence Day today, and also to tell our soldiers who are fighting in the eastern part of DRC to encourage them, because as we know, the problem here in DRC is really found by the fact, as it was said by the ambassador, there is something that is it's at different people is to not to put human being at the first place. This is the main problem that is inside people. They don't understand that other people, they don't have to harm other people as those people are like them. This is the main problem people are really facing here a decent party of DRC. Also, I do appreciate the fact that the Joseph was talking about freedom of speech. This is something that's really confusing into people. They don't really make the difference between freedom of speech and freedom or hate of speech, hate
speech, yes.
Hate speech and freedom of speech. This is something they don't really realize, and it's really a problem. This is the reason why I'm just suggesting to people to start to promote the non-violent communication. This is something that can really be helping people to understand and to know that they have to give value to other human beings. Something else is about to really call people to really have a reflex of what was happening past, the story of this region. We really know that in past there was problem, and those problem was due by the fact that there was some hate speech that was spread. So this was among the problem that create even still now the war here, even in DRC, because there was some people who was really investigating the war in the Eastern Party in other countries. So now this impact of the hate speech outside DRC can now impact even the other countries that are really around. This is also something that I really like people to really see in past what was happening, see in past what was the consequences of what was being done by in future. Yeah, this is.
I like what you just say. Like, how do we make sure that we learn from the past, and the past can teach us that these things are not going to take us anywhere. The more we dehumanize other human beings, the more it will also, how can I say, it will bring us more violence and more war. Just checking if Ambassador Fred is still here.
Yes,
Okay.
you get them still around.
Yes, good. I just wanted really to come back to something I'm going to ask you and Dr. Joseph, and then I will come back also to Haggai. So there is hate speech, I think, and then there is freedom of expression. Many people start saying, oh no, I have to say what is happening, I have to express my anger. So there is all these new things, I have to express what I'm feeling, what my community is feeling. And then, so how do we draw really a line between freedom of expression and hate speech? Do we let people, everyone, say whatever they want, and let also the politicians lead what our dialogues? Or we have to find really a way to say, no, there is a line we can't cross.
Well, thank you, Huguette. I think first of all, I'm not turning off my camera because I went actually I'm on the move, but I just wanted to let you know that it is very, very, very easy to distinguish what is freedom of expression and what is hate speech, and let no one hide behind freedom of expression to dehumanize or to or to spread false information about a community or individuals. I think that in many of our countries, you have laws which have clearly articulated what is hate speech and what is not. And in the case where there is ambiguity, usually you have committees which sits and look into this. But I think I want to come back to the most important fundamental here, and everybody has mentioned it. It's the issue of accountability. This hate speech is happening over, and it's increasing because no one is being held accountable. And when I say accountability, I'm talking about the leaders, whether it's at the local level, at the provincial level, at the governor level, presidential, whoever, someone needs to be held accountable, or someone needs to pay for this. So, and I think that it's extremely important. I'm pleased that, for example, the other day, I think I saw, since we're talking about the Democratic Republic of Congo, I saw that a guy who had been spewing hate on the streets of Kinshasa had been actually arrested and detained. That is a good thing. So that will make people think twice. And if you're sitting in the diaspora and you are spewing hate day in and day out, the country that welcomes you should be able to hold you account as well. So for me, it all boils down to accountability. But it doesn't. But I think that there is a clear. We know when someone is spewing hate, and we know when someone is expressing themselves. Thank you.
Thank you very, very much for bringing this the discussion to the issue of accountability. And I think you had alluded to it when we talked about how there are many laws. Almost all our countries have laws, and we know. But few times you see those laws being used to punish those people who are bringing this. And I want to bring in something you mentioned, and I have been seeing, and I don't know how young people who are, especially in Africa, we are going to handle this with young people who are in the diaspora, especially in Europe or in US or somewhere else. Because that's something else I think which is becoming more and more, that the fact that I am not in the country, I can say whatever I want. I can even be comfortable in my place in Canada, in my place in Paris, and say whatever I want, incite people to do violence, and think like no one is going to do anything. And others, as all of us, we sit here and just watch, feeling helpless. So I think is also something we need as young people to start advocating for, and start saying, how do we make sure that even when you are in the diaspora, you can't just use that for the sake of saying I'm in the diaspora, nobody can touch me. I will also bring in another discussion with Dr. Joseph. Dr. Joseph, if you are still here with me, about hate speech and radicalization. So there is also another, I think, I'm not sure if it's me who have been, well, just observing that. There is one group normally which is targeted by hate speech. But at the end of the day, sometimes you also see that group which was targeted become now radicalized and want to go and now fight back, but in another bad way. Think if you go and read what happens, people think is like fighting back, but then we fall into also radicalization. I think the best example even to give, I think many of us here follow all the discussions about, for example, the war on terrorism, and how you see some people get really radicalized because they think they have also been targeted. So how do we deal with that to make sure that people who have been targeted by hate speech don't fall also into radicalization?
Yeah, thanks a lot, Higet. What I can see that there is need for critical thinking and critical clicking. So there is need for continued raising awareness and spread of critical thinking skills among social media users and also youth, in order to have a healthy use and consumption, saturation and production of content that is not instigating hate. And I would say that to fight against radicalization and hate speech is that at times the youth should be asking themselves the following questions, because I'm going to use online as the topic is. The youth should ask the following questions when they encounter content or when someone is preaching them any message Why is he or she telling us this? Or who created this message? What lifestyles, values, and points of view are represented in this content or this message, or omitted from this message? Content, because media presents some lifestyles, values, and perspectives while omitting others. So these are very key things that young youth need to question. And also, why is this message being sent? Most politicians, most media are designed to gain profit or power. So people might be radicalizing some people so as people to be seen as if they've been victimized, so that they can support those ones who are trying to spread that media, so that they can be able to get power. So now in this era of social media, I think because if young people have been radicalized, you find them. But again, youth should ask themselves, how might help understand that message differently from them? You might be having a different thinking, but the person who is going to see it, what is he going to think? So when it comes to the media, that is being shared, the youth should
We are kind losing you.
ask themselves, what creative techniques should be used in attracting my attention? So, and finally, you saying that finally, youth should also be stance against all form of discrimination by originators of the content. So basically, we have to have youth who are critical thinkers, and who are also critical thinkers, so as to minimize this indoctrination of speech and also being indoctrinated.
Very, very, very good, Dr. Joseph. I like the questions you put, even because I think sometimes we got too emotional when you see messages and you want to answer. And you want to answer with all the emotions, and then you find yourself, you are doing exactly the same thing the person who is inciting is also doing, and you are doing it in another way. I have been seeing generalizations, people calling each other names. We have been saying about dehumanizing other people from one side to another, really, people dehumanizing each other or using people's experiences or disasters to say you are like this, you are like this, and you find this is the things we young people are just talking about. The fact that we need to start asking ourselves questions. Why is this person speaking like this? What do they want to gain in this speaking? What is their lifestyle? Because again, this is what I was saying. Someone is in the diaspora enjoying life, and sometimes sending other people's children to the street while they are just there. So sometimes we also have to tell ourselves those kind of truth. I will come back again to Haggai. Haggai, can you hear me? Tu m'entends?
Yeah, yes.
Yes. as a young Congolese, and really me, I have been trying to say we can't also hide that there are problems in Eastern DRC. There are, and there are many. But how do you think we should address them without bringing community fighting each other? Actually, young people standing and saying, there are these issues. Let's stand up as Congolese.
At my side, I do appreciate what was said, but by Anne, she was saying that it's better to feel like a regional citizen.
Exactly.
This is the first thing I really hope can be done in our case here in DRC, because as we are now in East Africa community, I hope if most of us we can feel like regional citizens, this can help us to fight hate speech. The second thing is that we must do a collective fight. This is better also to be done, because as you know, there are people who are doing something without knowing consequences. And as they don't know consequences, they can now trying to think that what they are doing it's normal. But and the other one,
oh, I'm not sure if we are losing Hagai. I think we might have lost him. Hagai, can you hear us? I can see your mic is open, but we can't hear you. Anyway, I think we will come back to Hagai. I just want to really open the discussion. As I said, we are trying to learn about accommodating also French in our discussions. We might have not yet arrived there to conduct all the discussions in French, but we would be happy. If you have something to say, just raise your hand. I will call you, and if you want to speak in French, you can speak in French. We will try to at least summarize a bit for those who cannot understand French. Who want to go first? And because I know this is something many people would want to say, let's just be using 2 minutes, no more than 2 minutes. I will start with Titus.
Good evening, guys.
Good evening.
Yes, my name is Titus from Kenya. I would like to say a few things here. The way we approach our conversation, is it based on the scientific view, or is it based on when I say scientific view, is that based on the research of people like Carl Jung, the likes of people who have been psychologists before, or based on the social theories like the Marx? So basically, I want to really understand, for example, when we go to our universities, we have more internalized things that are more of liberal in terms of what we teach our things. And we think of probably when we ban, let's say, let's ban something so it cannot be said by other people in the name of countering hate speech. Does it really work? Because, for example, I myself, I have a lot of Twitter following. I do tags. We make things trend. And at one point, I have to do this in order to survive, because I'll be paid at the end of the day. And currently in Kenya, we have elections. Today, I'll be doing a manifesto for, let's say, William Ruto, that tomorrow it will be for Raila. But for me, I don't carry anything personal against the two. What I've come to realize is that we don't really have to, brought something that we can say political correctness, which is more of like we are elevating moral posturing over sensitivity, like over truth. Like we have to be more like, should we protect people who have feelings over guys or over the truth? For example, if you tell someone the truth and they take that as an offense, can we really continue to say that that's a hate speech? And I would like Professor, I don't know, I would like Professor to tell us what really defines hate speech. Because for me personally, I take what George Orwell said, which is, if liberty means anything at all, it means the right to tell others what they do not want to hear. So personally, I'm of the school of thought that we have really gone too much, whereby we have put sensitivity, we have like put sensitivity above the truth. So what we have built is a society made of youths who are not more resilient. And if anything happens, we don't really have to protect anyone from the situation. Like we just need to, personally, I think, yes, having a safe space to talk may have its time and place. But what we really need is to develop our skills to be resilient and capable to communicate articulately and respectful, intense conversation. The quest for truth and understanding should not be neglected for the sake of protecting people from feeling offended.
Thank you very much, Titus. I think, Dr. Joseph, you can just put that down. And I think even if Ambassador Fred wants to say something about that, but let's take few more. Let me see whose hand is up. Edison, just use no more than 1.5 minutes. But before Edison comes, Titus, to just give you really a quick definition of hate speech, because we are not here to say people don't speak out. Don't, if someone is corrupt, don't say you don't say that, or if things are happening in your country, don't speak out. But the hate speech and speaking out are very, very two different things. So I think we will come back to it. I put just on the screen if you can read, but let's hear Edison. Edison, to you.
Thank you so much, Kaze and Kemi, for hosting us, and also hosting the panelists who have really gave us enough word full of wisdoms. Yeah, Edson Rema, as usual. I have one thing I want to talk about. There is something you have mentioned. You talked about freedom of speech or expression versus hate speech. Now, when you take it in the context of Uganda, there is provision within the law that gives someone mandates or power to say or to express him or herself, provided he or she is within the law. Now the question is, how do you be within the law? So most of us, especially young people in Uganda, are being angered by how the current system is doing its thing. For example, currently in Uganda, we have imbalanced development, where like if you go to western part of the country, where our freedom fighter comes from, you see things are happening differently with what is happening in the northern part of the country where I come from. Youths are not supported in the other side, yet the other side, youths have all the privileges. So what comes into our mind? There is now what we are calling attack, which comes in terms of hate speeches. Because now you are now showing up your grievances. You're already grieved by what the system has done. Secondly, there is what we are calling poverty, especially for those offliners, because people are poor in the village, they not go to school, and they have jealous. So when those three things mix up together, it goes to another level of where even we have now, we have to see people now bewitching themselves. What do I say? Me, I always come with recommendation. As young people, why don't we first understand what we are? Why do we allow ourselves to be used? Because in most of these activities, the elders who have their own selfish interest use us, the young people, especially when it is nearing election period. Because they use us, because we still have the platform and the energy, we have enough space to move and spread such hate speeches. So I call upon young people within the region to understand that regardless of where we are coming from, because this was what was just caused by the colonial masters, we are one people. We all have blood. What we have will not take us somewhere. Thank you so much, Kaze. Back to you.
Thank you, Edison. I think there is something I think we have to come back. Speaking up versus hate speech. I think we need really to leave this meeting understanding a bit the difference. I will take just 2 more and then go back to Dr. Joseph and Ambassador Fred. Amos Seromba.
Yeah, thank you so much. I don't know whether you can hear me.
Very well.
Okay, thank you. I'm Amos Seromba from Rwanda, and I'm so delighted to be on this platform. I saw my colleague, Dr. Joseph, and actually he gave us some beautiful insights. So I think recommending for the first time, we should at least wide this platform to to become so wide so that most of the youth could at least pick some beautiful experience. So backing on our theme of today, I wanna emphasize on what Comrade Taita said. Youth worldwide and most especially in Africa and East Africa, where I belong, you find that most of the youth are unemployed and actually, I try to approach most of the fellow youth, trying to pick some little ideas from them, asking why are they trying to, get themselves into spreading that speech. The first ideas and first comments that I received from them, they say that, we are doing this for survival tactics. We have no job, and as like Comrade Taita said, we are doing this for when we try to to spread this hate speech, we get paid day by day, weekly by weekly, and sometimes monthly. So how can I live this? This is my job. This is my survival. How can I live this? So you find that most of the youth are, they are facing that's a challenge. He has he is impressed of living that dilemma, but at the same time, he is it is his survival tactics. So how could we change that mindset? How could we at least change their behaviors towards living in a good state? So second is that we've been under as youth and actually Africans and East Africans, we should at least put on front the spirit of Pan-Africanism. You find that most of the youth don't know what Pan-Africanism is. Instead of trying to put, the spirit of East Africanism on the front line, is trying to figure out all those hate speeches. So how could we at least spread this spirit of Pan-Africanism across the region, across the whole continent? How could we at least, because we find we are Africans and we are looking for unification as Africans, one Africa, the Africa we want. How could we at least change the people's mindset, and that at least they get a little knowledge or huge knowledge about what Pan-African is. Are we trying to Okay, thank you.
Sorry for cutting you, just for the time and to give just one more person. Thank you very much. Yes, Amos. Yves, Jean-Yves.
Okay, thank you for giving the speech. I raised my hand because I had some question from about the intervention of some our friends, but the doctor, I forgot the name. I forget the name of the doctor. He
Dr.
arrived.
Joseph.
That's it, Dr. Joseph could answer my question, but my point of view, just one thing to say about the hate speech. I think, especially in case of Madagascar, the social network. In the social network, there are more cases of hate speech from you, from politicians, from everyone. Just I say, hate speech is appeared. If the democracy and what I say, freedom of expression is very exaggerated. I think my point of view, just my point of view. So thank you.
Thank you very much. I just want to give a few minutes to our panelists, our three panelists, to just say something. I know I haven't been following gender balance. Samantha, we will come back to you after they answer the first set of comments. We can start with Dr. Joseph. Trying to see if we still...
Yes.
Yes.
No. Thanks a lot. I think there is I'm forgetting his name. Who asked what is entailed in regarding hate speech? Say that some politicians might
it was Titus, I think. The payments of some hashtags and what?
Yes, this is what one. Let's look at. I guess people have read the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. Of course, Article 19 says everyone has the right to freedom of opinion and expression. This right includes freedom to hold opinions without interference and to seek, receive, and impart information and ideas through any media and regardless of frontiers. But when you keep reading, I think it is subsection 3, where it warns politicians and those in power to avoid inciting citizens. So irrespective of the freedom of opinion and expression, we don't have the right to incite citizens to turn against others. He also asks that what is what entails the hate speech. You had given a definition, but I can repeat it for him, that hate speech can be defined as a bias-motivated, hostile, malicious speech aimed at a person or a group of people because of some of their actual or perceived intimate characteristics. So if you think that you are expressing yourself, but then, and you find that your speech has some bias motivations, most especially now, as you all know, the history of the previous history of elections in Kenya. You know, the violence, the post-electoral violence Kenya has had. When you listen to what politicians used to say, there is that bias motivation against other running mates that indoctrinated hatred, which contributed to having post-electoral violence. So, irrespective of the freedom of expression, but people have to be conscious with what they are saying. It is your right, but it is not your right to incite violence. So going back to what my colleague, I think Seromba, talked about, Pan-Africanism, etc., having the African identity, but all starts with the leadership. What are the leaders of our respective countries doing? I think before looking at Africa as a continent, we need to start from our families. Our families championing unity. Our families championing that identity. So from our families, we go to society, we go to schools, we go to organizations, we go to the level of the country. So that if our countries have championed national unity, having a shared vision, making sure that people work so as to develop their countries, when that change happens in our countries, then we shall be very happy that that change is going to happen across the African continent. But we find different leaders in different African countries. They are doing different things. They are not unifying their own citizens, hence promoting divisionism. So that affects the Pan-Africanism that Seromba was talking about. But what I can say is that now, at least the youth, the young people, you've gotten the opportunity. We are now discussing these challenges in the society. I think it is the right time you stand up and say no to whichever leader that might be wanting to disorganize the young people. Yeah, that's what I can say.
Thank you very, very much, Dr. Joseph. Ambassador Fred, are you still with us? Yes, I think I can.
Yes, I'm still with you. And I was just listening keenly to what Dr. Joseph was talking about. And I think that there is not much that I can add. I think I agree with him. But coming back to the real issue here, which is fighting hate speech online and so on, may I make a proposal? The one proposal I would like to make is that this group can look into the laws of their countries, how they handle this, because it's important also to know how our countries are, because this is an issue that is known, and one needs to look at the penal codes in our countries and look at how each country is handling it, and then perhaps propose a sort of model law on this issue, which can then be adopted within the framework of the East African community. That is a concrete contribution that you guys will be giving to this issue. I don't want us to be too philosophical about the issue of hate speech. We know what's wrong, and we know it. Even a child could know what's wrong. And I think that it should be condemned in the harshest terms possible, because this can lead to social unrest and to even worse. On the issue of Pan-Africanism, I couldn't agree more. I did an experiment whereby I tried to talk to a number of young people about what is Pan-Africanism for them. And I was stunned by the fact that actually many gave me different definitions. So it looks like we need to go back to the basics. And by the way, Pan-Africanism means to, as Seda Senghor said, to anchor yourself in your own race, your culture, and your origins, but it also means to open up to others. So Pan-Africanism is not actually just to isolate yourself and to dislike others. It is actually to embrace who you are, the diversity that we have as Africans, but serving as one. Out of many, we are one. But then after that, then to open up to other races as well, because in the end, we all belong to the same human family. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Haggai. Oh, I'm not sure if we still have him. Okay, anyway, but Ambassador Fred, you and Dr. Joseph, you will forgive me to keep bringing it. Even because I think we have to be clear. Young people are here saying or using all this excuse of poverty, exploitation, unemployment, and all these kind of things of speaking the truth and what. Really, how do we draw this line? That these are two different things, and we shouldn't hide behind our computers while we are inciting one community against each other or one political group against the other one, thinking that we are speaking the truth. Any of you can, okay, let me take first a few, I think there are a few questions. Samantha.
Hi, everyone.
Hello.
I'm Samantha from Kenya. And I run an establishment to provide life skills to young adults and adolescents. And I'd just like to mention, first of all, before I continue, today is social media, World Social Media Day. So I don't know if you chose this date because of that. And luckily we are talking about hate speech. And so my concern, or rather a question, if I can put it that way, would be one of the issues is actually a systematic failure. And capitalism plays a part where man eats man society, such that we no longer have any principles or ideologies that we can support. Having not grown up with a staunch, I can say a very rigid system where you can really focus on taking care of another person and the unity that someone has mentioned. So we actually lack an ideology, you know. It's like we are walking empty, we are empty heads. You know, we don't have conviction. What are we standing up for? We don't have that. And then capitalism, you add capitalism into the mix, and it's bad news for everyone who has internet and a laptop. Thank you.
Thank you very, very much, Samantha. Let me see who still, Okello, and then we conclude with Faikal.
Thank you, Agurta.
Thank you.
I don't know if I got your name.
Hello?
Faika, you are next. Let first Okello speak.
Yeah, thank you. Yes, I am Robert. I'm from Uganda, and I'm based in The Hague. You actually mentioned youth from diaspora, so I thought I should mention something. The topic is quite important, but I just want to point out, I think, challenges that we have in the continent that it's sort of leaving us a bit behind in terms of digital transformation. I think our regulatory framework, it's still moving quite slow with the pace at which digitalization is happening in the continent. We have seen, if I'm to compare hate speech, for example, I do not think there is so much hate speech in Africa compared to some other continent. If I'm to compare, for example, to Europe with what has been happening in the UK, on Black players, if for example, the default on football and something like that, it's a huge issue that is happening here. But also another key important thing is the shrinking space for participation for youth in Africa. I think online has sort of come as a space where a lot of youth have safety, a lot of youth have opportunity to sort of voice their opinion and concern. But then it comes into self-accountability, which I think it was mentioned in the beginning. If you are asking for accountability, participation, what are the things that you need to bring out there? I want to bring just two solutions in this. I think our government needs to react fast in terms of formulating regulations that control hate speech. We have seen here in Europe, it's happening a lot. We have already seen companies like Facebook, Twitter developing algorithms that sort of detects hate speech within their social platforms. And I think this is some of the things that we should also, as the African continent, perhaps the African Union should look into to put pressure on some of these companies. And self-accountability, anyone who is using online platform need to have self-accountability. And of course, government also needs to create space for youth to participate, to voice their concern. They need to be online actually to answer to some of these issues that the youth face. I leave my comment with a question that in light of the progress that we are achieving with AfTA, the African Free Continental Trade Agreement, how do we as African youth sort of use internet as an intercontinental platform for collaboration, sharing ideas, advocacy for the benefit of the continent? So yeah, I know I have very small time and very limited time, but thank you for this platform. Yeah.
Thank you very, very much. I love the word self-accountability. I think that is something we are losing, and we don't want. We are losing that way of asking ourselves, what am I doing? Is it right? And we can't hide behind liberalism and whatever we want to be, but we still have to ask us that question, really. Faikal?
I hope you are hearing me now.
Yes.
Okay, I will go with French and English if you permit me.
Yes, you can speak in French.
Ok, merci à toutes et à tous. Je voudrais d'entrée de jeu dire que la paix est un comportement et que la haine est un sentiment. La paix est un comportement, la haine est un sentiment et les propos haineux ne sont rien d'autre que les résultats d'une frustration. Et parmi toutes les âmes que Dieu a créées, la plus destructrice est la langue. Donc, la meilleure manière d'éviter les propos haineux, c'est de ne pas les prononcer à autrui. Thank you. Now I will go with English. In French, I said that peace is behavior and hate is feeling. Hate, among all destruction arms that we have in humanity, among the most is a tongue. And the best way to avoid hate speech, it is to not say to other than us what we don't want to hear. It is what I'm saying. Thank you.
Thank you very, very much. And I think now our song is no longer just this one, the mouth. It has become also our hands, what we write and what. So I just want to really bring this to a conclusion. We have taken so much time. The discussion was very interesting. Just to let our panelists to conclude, just in using between 30 seconds and 1 minute. Dr. Joseph, I see your mic is already open.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Kazanes. What I can say that as a concluding remarks is that please, it is high time you, the young people, to stand up and refute any indoctrination that would be inciting you to turn against your peers. And finally, if I quote Samantha, what she said, we need to go back to the drawing table and we create an ideology that will facilitate to see each one of us as a fellow human being. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Ambassador Fred.
Thank you so much, Cousin Eza, and I think thanks to all who have contributed. I love these platforms where people can have discussions, but I like it even more when people get organized and ask their leaders to really work on this. So I want to challenge all of you to kind of work together to ask the leaders of the East African community to really unequivocally, come up with declarations and laws that really punishes people who spread hate speech. I think we can no longer act as business as usual. The things that we've seen and how in a matter of a few months, how things can get bad. I think we cannot just let it go by. And what we are seeing today is that we are never a minute away from killings and things like that. And so we should really all mobilize ourselves and work hard to enact laws and push for laws that really hold accountable those who spread hate speech. Once again, thank you so much for having me, and I wish you all success in all your endeavors.
Thank you very, very much to our panelists. I just want to say really one last thing. Anything which dehumanize another human being, and you are able to say it or to write it, knowing that whatever you are saying can harm someone, can incite somebody, can dehumanize, can really remove dignity on that person. No, that is hate speech. Speaking up against whatever bad is happening in a country is one thing. But the moment you incite for violence, for killing that person, calling them names, we know how we call other people's names. The moment you are doing that, you are doing hate speech and you are just dehumanizing another human being. So let's stop doing that and stand for each other. All of us, really, let's stand for each other. Let's be the true Pan-Africanists. And when there is a conflict in one country, let's all stand with those countries without inciting for violence. Haggai, before he left, he was saying, we need to use non-violent communication, and it is possible to use it and to reach solutions. So again, thank you very much to everyone who has been here and those who have been following us through Facebook, Twitter, or any other forum, those who will be listening in the coming days, this discussion, or through our social media platforms. Have a great evening to you all, and thanks to the ULEAD team which was supporting behind the scene. Thank you again. Have a great evening.
Tusonga mbele mama Afrika, Afrika, Tusonga mbele mama Afrika, Afrika, Kwa favor Afrika, mulishani wonse, bonjour, from country to country, yeah, we gotta work together. We are leaders now, aiming higher for the better, together to make our nations greater, or sharing to empower. So you lead, I lead, we lead together. So you lead, I lead, we lead together. We will lead, we will lead. Let your dream be a reality. We will lead, we will lead. Let your dream be a reality.
Yeah, listen, together we shape young men and women. With the pillars, with the future, here we are. Let's join together with ability to change communities, with love, with peace, to respond to our need, to call for unity. Africa, hear me cry, never leave me alone. As I see light in a brighter future, let's join hands for youth and women. Let's join hands for youth and
So you